Eat Sleep Dreamers, I asked you to ask me any questions you wanted about English, and you did. So I'm here to answer them for you. So if you're ready, let's do this. Welcome to Q&A with Tom. Now, I asked you guys on Facebook and on Instagram to ask me any questions you had about English. And I got so many responses. So today we're looking at, I'm going to look at some of the questions and hopefully give you an answer so that you can understand English better. So, all right, if you're ready, let's have a look at question number 1. We're starting with a grammar question on Instagram. This comes from Kirilova_Irina_inst, and she asks, how often in a real conversation do you use the present perfect continuous and the past perfect continuous? Great question. So let's do a real quick review of the present perfect continuous and the past perfect continuous. The present perfect continuous, the form is have or has plus been plus the verb in the ing form, and we use it to talk about actions that started in the past and continue or unfinished now. For example, I've been working here for 10 years. I've been working here for 10 years. So that started in the past and it's still true now, still continuing now. Let's look at 2 examples to contrast the present perfect continuous and the present perfect. I've watched the new series of Game of Thrones. I've watched the new series of Game of Thrones. Now in that sentence, that suggests that I've completed it, that I finished the new series. Whereas contrasting that with the present perfect continuous, I've been watching the new series of Game of Thrones. I've been watching the new series of Game of Thrones. There, it suggests that I haven't finished, that maybe there are a few more episodes I need to watch. So we're focusing on the action there. So that's maybe one time that we're going to use the present perfect continuous, is to focus on the action rather than the result. We can also use it for temporary situations. So for example, I usually live on my own, but I've been staying with my sister for the last 2 weeks. So I usually live on my own, but I've been staying with my sister for the last 2 weeks. So it's a temporary situation. I'll go back to living on my own, but just for a short time, I've been living with my sister. So temporary situations, also really good with the present perfect continuous. Another functional way to use the present perfect continuous is to talk about reasons for present results. So for example, I have my chocolate here, but most of it has gone. And I could say, who's been eating my chocolate? Okay, and I can see that there's still some chocolate there. And this is a present situation, but in the past, someone has eaten my chocolate. Now I could say, who ate my chocolate? That's fine, but I could also say who's been eating my chocolate. Both are absolutely fine. Also, you might say another example, I'm really tired. And the reason is because I've been walking around London all day. So I'm really tired right now, and the reason, because I've been walking around London all day. So again, you've got a present situation, a present result, and the reason we're using the present perfect continuous, because I've been walking around London all day. So that's another really nice functional way to use the present perfect continuous. The past perfect continuous, the form is had plus been plus the verb in the ing form. And again, we're talking about actions that happened in the past and continued to a point in the past. So this is all past actions. These are all completed actions. And this is really important, is you'll probably use the past perfect continuous in a narrative, in a story. For example, I might tell you about trying to meet a friend, and I could say, I'd been waiting for my friend for hours, and then finally she called and said that she'd had an accident. So the focus there is on the length of time that I was waiting. Often we use it with another past tense. So I'd been waiting for my friend for hours, and then she finally called. Could be the past, using the past simple tense there. The past perfect continuous is a really useful tense in narratives, and that's when you're most likely to use it. Now I think both these tenses need more time to learn and to look at together. So perhaps if you guys would like me to do a separate video looking at the present perfect continuous and the past perfect continuous, then let me know in the comments below. I hope that was useful for you, Irina, that certainly in the present perfect continuous, we use it very functionally a lot. And with the past perfect continuous, again, in stories, in narratives, yeah, we use it. So I hope that helps. Let me know in the comments below. From Facebook, Nguyen Din Bak asks, what's the difference between each and every? Fantastic question. Okay, now they are both very similar in meaning. However, each refers to an individual thing or object or person, whereas every can refer to a group of things or people. For example, each English learner is different. Every English learner is different. So they're both grammatically correct. The difference just being how we view the subject there. So each English learner, I'm thinking about individual ones, whereas every English learner, I'm grouping them together as a group of English learners. So both perfectly grammatically correct. It's just how we look at the situation, how we perceive it to be. Now both each and every we use with singular nouns. Okay, that's a really important rule. Now the difference between the two comes when we're talking about two objects. Now if we have two objects, then we're going to use each. For example, I've got a bag in each hand. Now I've only got two hands in the world, only two of them, so I would use each because it's two. So I've got a bag in each hand. I couldn't say I've got a bag in every hand. That would be a bit strange. Maybe I would have 5 hands, 10 hands, who knows. If we have 3 or more objects, then we can use every or each. So for example, every country I've been to, I've loved. Every country I've been to, I've loved. Or each country I've been to, I've loved. Both are grammatically fine because we're looking at 3 or more objects. Yun, I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. Thank you for your question. I got 2 questions from you guys about British versus American English. Happy_UKHTI said, what's the difference between British and American English? Great question. Now there are many differences between the two. Now, just first of all, I've done 3 videos about British and American English to help you guys understand which words to use, which grammar to use, which pronunciation to use. I've linked them just above. Now the main things are vocabulary. There's a lot of difference between British vocabulary and American vocabulary. Now recently I talked about, I showed you guys how to do the pronunciation of certain television shows, and we talked about the vocabulary of series or season. Now series is British English, meaning a collection of episodes, and season is an American English word to say a collection of episodes. And now people here, certainly in London, in Britain, we're saying season. Or some people are anyway, so that there is a kind of American English comes into British English, and some of the words we use, some of the words we don't, but that's one example of British English using some American English vocabulary. So vocabulary is one big thing. Pronunciation is obviously a huge one. There are many differences. I can't even begin to start with them now, but the R sound, I mean, car, in American English, car, it's a much stronger sound than in British English. Again, if you guys would like a separate video about British English and American English pronunciation differences, tell me in the comments below. I would love to make one for you. Grammar as well, there's obviously a lot of difference, or not a lot of difference, but there are differences in British English grammar and American English grammar. I've talked about that before, so if you check out my videos, I made 3 of them, watch them, see if you can learn new things from that, and then also let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to make another video about British and American English. Atty B on Instagram asked me, when will you come to HK again, so Hong Kong? Or may I meet you in London in the near future? So, great question, Atty. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I used to live in Hong Kong for about 3.5 years. I lived in Argentina as well, and in Spain. I would love to go back to Hong Kong, if not for a short trip, who knows. But yes, there are certainly plans at some point in the near future to make it to Hong Kong. So of course I will tell you guys if I do come to Hong Kong or to Asia or anywhere for that matter. And yes, if you come to London, please let me know. I do try to meet up with Eat Sleep Dreamers. I love it. I feel a great connection with you guys, especially when I meet you. I met Natalie when Natalie came to London. We went for a coffee. I put the picture up on my Facebook page. So yeah, please let me know if you're coming to London. Let me know, and if I have time, would love to meet you for a coffee or a drink or a chat or whatever it might be. So let me know. I'm also planning a meetup at some point really soon to get some Eat Sleep Dreamers together, just to hang out, to meet each other, share stories, things like that. So listen in, get your ears ready, and keep your eyes peeled. That's the phrase we use. Keep your eyes peeled. Look out, and I'll let you guys know as soon as I decide when the meetup will be. I'll tell you. Nina Nonna on Facebook asks, what is an Oxford comma? Now usually I don't look at writing so much on Eat Sleep Dream English, but we'll look at it today. So the Oxford comma is the last comma in a list of 3 or more things, and it goes just before and, or. Now it's optional, you don't have to use it. Some style guides or writing guides would prefer you to use it, but it's an optional thing. So let's look at an example. Okay, so I bought a suit, a tie, and some new shoes. Now there you can use it with the Oxford comma, so the comma just be going before and, or you can use it without. Both are absolutely fine, it's your choice, it's up to you. If you are writing for an exam, or maybe for a newspaper or a publication, then you should find out whether to use it or not. But if you're just writing for yourself, then you can choose. The only thing I would say is be consistent. You either use it all the time or don't use it at all. It's up to you. On Instagram, Anita.sk asks, have lunch or have at lunch? Which one is correct? Great question. So most of the time, almost all the time, have lunch is great, okay? We use it just to talk very generally. So what time do you have lunch? Or I have lunch at 1 o'clock. So that's probably the one that you'll use most of the time. When you have a formal plan for lunch, maybe it's a business lunch or a lunch to celebrate a friend's birthday, something like that, then you might say at lunch. So I have a lunch tomorrow means that I have a formal plan tomorrow for lunch. Or if you're going through your diary with a friend and you're saying, oh sorry, I can't meet on Friday, I have a lunch planned. So for formal situations with a formal planned lunch, that's when you might say have at lunch. But generally speaking, have lunch works really well most of the time. On Facebook, Fan Huang asks, hi Tom, I'm from Asia. On the holidays and special Lunar New Year, we usually visit relatives and neighbours. Do you do that? Do you know your neighbours? What do you do on holiday? Great question. Yeah, during the holiday period, so Christmas, Easter, things like that, yeah, absolutely. I spend it with my family. We visit each other, and that's a really important time. It's a great opportunity to meet up with your friends and your family, and spend some really good quality time with them. Do I know my neighbours? Yeah, I know my neighbours. I've travelled around quite a lot, so I haven't always been in one place for a long time, so maybe I don't know my neighbours as well as someone who has lived in the same place for years and years and years, but yeah, I know my neighbours, and lots of my friends live very close to me, so that's fantastic. And what do I do on holiday? I mean, any number of things. Usually I try and find some sunshine. That's because I live in England and we don't always have sunshine, so that's always a nice thing. I love eating. When I go on holiday, I love to eat the local food, try new things. Recently I went to Spain and I ate the local food there. It was incredible. I love it. When I lived in Hong Kong, I visited lots of different countries in Asia, like Vietnam and Thailand and Indonesia. Again, trying the local food. So I think food is a really important part of holidays and traveling for me. Guys, if you have any more questions for me, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll make another Q&A with Tom video later, and you can ask your questions and I'll answer them for you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you learn English as best I can. So yeah, just let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, whatever it is. If there are any videos that I can make you, also please let me know, and I'll try and make them. I've got a couple of very exciting announcements coming soon. I can't quite tell you yet, but yeah, look out in the next couple of days, weeks. Some really exciting things happening at Eat, Sleep, Dream English, and I want you guys to be a part of that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, guys. This is Tom, the English hipster, and you know what time it is. It's time to take your English to the next level.